on Americans. So, Steve, where do we begin?
Where do we begin? Let's begin over here, Mika, with what's actually in the bill. And I think the conversation between Joe and Heilman before the break was really an important one, which I'll get into in a second. But essentially, I think, as most people know, this would extend the tax cuts in the 2017 Trump tax cut bill. They were going to expire. That was a budget gimmick they did in 2017 to make it look like a smaller deficit was going to occur. So now we're going to add $2 trillion. Increases in the standard deduction, increases in the child tax credit, and then the important priorities of this administration anyway, border and immigration spending, defense spending, and then the goodies that Trump promised during the campaign. No tax on overtime, no tax on deducting your car loan interest, no tax on tips, senior bonus deduction, and then the other side of the coin, $278 billion out of student loan payments that are coming, that will be less. Phasing out the IRA, $540 billion, so important for our climate change efforts. And then the big one, the Medicaid cuts of $841. But as Heilman said before, all the good stuff takes effect now. People are going to get these increases in their standard deduction and their child tax credit. The Social Security Administration has already sent out a letter to Social Security recipients saying you're going to get a big tax windfall from this bill. They overstated what they're going to get, of course. So they're already out there marketing this. The bad stuff doesn't take effect for the most part until after the 26 midterm elections. So these people, whatever else they are, they're probably not stupid, and they staggered this stuff in a way that could work to their political advantage, or at least less political harm.
But again, for those of us who have been concerned about the deficit and debt for decades, and you and I were talking about this during the Obama administration as well, so it's certainly not just focused on what parties in the White House, unlike, unfortunately, every Republican, just about every Republican in the House and the Senate. This is also a great way to make the deficit explode even more. We're going to give you all the goodies now and all of the cuts, the difficult cuts that we're going to make to try to offset them a little bit, we're going to push down the road. So again, makes a reckless bill even more reckless, right?
Absolutely, and I'll show you those deficit numbers in just a second. But in terms of the actual total impact on the deficit, Joe, to your point, this bill is $3 trillion, assuming they're playing the same game again of having some stuff expire to make it look cheaper. $3 trillion. If they leave it as written, so stuff expires. If they make everything permanent, $3.7 trillion. $3 trillion bigger than the House version. The Senate added a bunch of goodies. They then moved some stuff from the temporary to the permanent bucket, so it's a little bit less, but we can call it somewhere in this range of $3 to $4 trillion. But let's put that in perspective. The bipartisan infrastructure law under Biden, $400 billion. The American Rescue Plan, which the Republicans love to trash, and to your point, talk about how it was a deficit buster and so on and so forth, $1.8 trillion, so much less than all this. And then the CARES Act during COVID of 1.7, and even the original Tax Cuts and Jobs Act from 2017, $1.5 trillion. So this is truly can be described as the mother of all bills, the mother of all deficit-busting bills that we have seen in history, really.
And, Steve, you're also looking at income inequality. How will that be impacted?
Yeah, so let's talk about two ways in which many Americans are going to be affected. The first one is Medicaid. We've talked a lot about Medicaid. The Senate version actually increased the amount of Medicaid cuts from $760 billion to $841 billion. The consequences is that something around 11 million people are projected to lose their Medicaid over the coming decade. And so after Obamacare was passed, the Affordable Care Act, we did a really great job of reducing the uninsured population in this country. And this is going to send it halfway back to where we were. I do not know of an example in history where we have instituted a major social benefit like Obamacare, ACA, whatever you want to call it, Medicaid, and then rolled it back so much. This is unprecedented in our history. We've always moved forward, not backwards. Now, if you remember one thing from what I'm saying today, remember what's on this chart, because we've talked a lot about how it helps the rich, hurts the poor. Let's just put some numbers around that. If you're in the top 20% of the country, you're going to get an average $6,000 benefit. These green arrows are what you get from tax cuts. The red arrow is what you lose from some of the spending cuts. But these people at the very top are going to get a 2.3% increase in their after-tax income and benefits and what they get from the government, essentially. If you go down here to the bottom 20%, what do you see? These people are actually going to be worse off. They get a very small tax cut, but it is completely, wildly offset. But what they lose from Medicaid cuts, from food stamp cuts, from other cuts, and so they end up actually $560 worse off, minus 2.3%. And again, I would say in 50 years of watching economic policy, I have never seen a package that was so regressive, that did so much to take money from the poor, give it to the rich, and take it away from the poor. This is unprecedented in our history. It is the most amazing piece of social legislation in the wrong direction that we have ever seen.